I've been keeping an eye on the dollar because I am still somewhat bearish on it, but it's just not in the best place for me to take a trade. I was hoping we could see a bit more retracement on the dollar yesterday and simultaneously with EURUSD as well, but it didn't look like we quite had enough retracement. The main reason why I'm being a bit more hesitant about shorting the dollar, which we've been speaking about for the past couple of days, is this big zone here on the weekly chart. Price did consolidate here for a few weeks before we had this really strong bullish engulfing candle and price had a really strong move to the upside. So overall, we're tapping into a higher time frame area of interest, which potentially could see potentially a reversal, at least just some buying pressure coming back into the market, which potentially could see us have us a bigger push. So certainly as a swing trader, I'm not going to be so invested in holding shorts at these areas because I know we could be seeing some buyers step into the market. Of course, if you're looking for a short-term play, then of course that's nothing really to be worried about too much because you're in and out of the market fairly quickly. But holding a short position in these areas, eventually price might find support and turn against you. So you have to be careful of that. So I've been looking for a bigger retracement for the dollar. I've been speaking about a push back into that candle there. That's where all the momentum came from. And I can be a bit more specific with that and refine it to this area here, where price had a brief pause on the 4-hour chart and we of course melted to the downside last week. And things were looking pretty bearish, and I was looking for us to come back and retest that zone before looking to sell. We were looking pretty bullish at the time, but just didn't quite see that one last bullish leg I was hoping for before price did sell off, and we had a pretty strong bearish move at the start of today. So as the markets opened up for the new daily candle, we did see some nice momentum there, breaking lower. However, again, not really in my area of interest. I didn't really entertain the idea of potentially buying euro or buying pound. I did want to see that bigger pullback into that zone before getting involved. Now that we have seen the move, I would still be a bit skeptical as we were coming back into the same territory which gave us that rejection. I'm still pretty bearish because of momentum. Market's still seeing lower lows and lower highs. As we can see on the weekly chart, daily chart, we're still seeing that bearish structure. So if I am still looking to short the dollar, for myself, I'll probably still be waiting for a push back to that same area before looking to get short. In fact, I like how we've had this move down. If we do push up again, potentially can push up, take out some early sellers who have some stops above the high there, and that will make my area a bit more valuable as well. So I still do like that area. However, if we don't see such a big retracement, price might come back, retest this consolidation, and potentially use that to continue falling. So if you are looking to short the dollar or look for opportunities that favor dollar weakness, I would wait for a bit more upside, at least to come back and retest the range here at 103. Or if you're looking for a bit more of a swing position, 103.9, 104, that kind of area looks really good still as well. But yeah, momentum's still down. We're still seeing strong bearish moves. No kind of real characteristic of a reversal. Yes, we do have some rejection in these areas, which we have to be a bit cautious of. But in terms of the overall trajectory of the market in the past few weeks is still very much the downside. So dollar's still bearish, trend is still down, predominantly looking to short the market. We still could go take out these lows, if anything, as well. But if we are going to find some opportunities, we want to make sure we're taking trades from smart areas and positioning ourselves well in the market. So I would wait either for at least a push back into that range or back into 104. Both of those areas look pretty good, and depending how much of a pullback we see will depend which level price gets to. But yeah, I'm still pretty bearish, and yeah, just waiting for a slightly bigger pullback first. I'll go through EURUSD next. So again, pretty much the inverse of what we just spoke about there with the dollar, which is, you can see EURUSD up on the day, looking very, very strong. I was talking about some long opportunities yesterday for EURUSD at this area here. Lovely range, strong push to the upside. Again, same situation as the dollar. If we go to the weekly chart, what can we see if we look to the left? Again, a similar range, which gave us a very strong move to the downside. Price tapped into that last week, big wick rejection, as we pull back just before the weekly candle close. So again, bit of a red flag there. We are still bullish, but momentum is fading at the highs. So taking that into consideration, don't want to be so aggressive with the buys. So I was waiting for us to come a little bit deeper as well. Looks like we found support just above us, and we had a bit of a move to the upside. Again, if EURUSD is still going to push higher, you would at least want to see a pullback back into this kind of area where price consolidated and had another big strong move to the upside this morning. So if I go to the hourly chart, something like this would be a nice trade opportunity, perhaps even on the smaller time frames. Again, I would still like to see the bigger move into this area, so pretty much same as the DXY analysis. But again, as we look for buys, we want to be a little bit more cautious as we do come back into this area, because this is still where the range is, and this is still where we had the rejection last week. Potentially, we could see another wick this week as well. The weekly candle this week is looking fairly bullish, but maybe by the end of the week, that's pulling back as well, leaving another wick. So being careful that could be the scenario that does unfold. But the market's still bullish, so I think buys is still the best bet. It's just you want to be waiting for price to come back into bullish territory first before looking to long either this area here, which could be more of an intraday opportunity, or if you're still looking for a bigger swing, then 1.085 looks really good down there. Pound USD, this one had a bit of a bounce from 1.28. Again, I'm not so enthusiastic about the buys anymore for Pound USD. We had that humongous move to the upside and the follow through back down again. Not really something I'm looking at to continue, especially with such a strong rejection now on the daily and the weekly chart as well. So price has tested 1.28. It's been a nice bounce so far. We are now heading back into consolidation. So this is back into an area which we potentially could find resistance and sell off from as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I am looking to see if Pound USD can get back there for some selling opportunities. And if things look good, I'll take the trade and probably target back at 1.27, sorry, not 1.28. I thought that was 1.28. Target back at 1.27. So Pound USD for me, I am not so confident anymore that price is going to continue higher, especially after that move on Thursday. Really strong move to the upside. It was as if price was going to continue back to 1.3 at that point, 1.34 at that point, but price didn't. We came back down very aggressively, and of course that left behind a big wick on the weekly chart. So as a result, I'm not as confident that price is going to break through the zone and continue higher after we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of price just obeying that resistance pretty much. And especially with the last week's candle, that big kind of breakout, price failed and we pulled back there. So a push back into resistance into that range looks likely, but whether we continue, I think that's a different question, and I'll probably say it looks unlikely. So as we come back into this area, there could be some really nice shorts to look at for pound, back into 1.27 and maybe beyond. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at for Pound USD. In terms of dollar CAD, I'm keeping an eye on this one. There hasn't been a solid entry candle on the 4-hour chart for me. I did say yesterday if we can get a double top, I'll be looking for some more entries, and I am looking for some more entries. But we haven't really seen much momentum here, and a good signal for a trade. I think it probably would be better to enter this one on the lower time frames, just to maximize that risk reward opportunity. We did push into this area middle of the night, actually around 1 a.m. There was a decent rejection there, which I think closed at 2 a.m. on that hourly chart. So that would have been a nice entry. But again, trading dollar CAD during the Asian session is probably not the best time to trade it. But hey, in this case, we did see a nice move to the downside in that case. But from a 4-hour perspective, not enough for me to get into a trade. And if you keep kind of slowly bleeding to the downside, I'll probably just leave dollar CAD alone. But the key thing to take away from dollar CAD is that this zone is holding pretty well as resistance. As long as that holds, I'm expecting price to make a move back into support at 1.40500. So dollar CAD still pretty bearish. Resistance is still holding. I'm still pretty bearish on USD as well, so that kind of adds confidence to the position. Market's still pretty consistent with these lower highs, and it looks like we're starting to form another one. So I do think dollar CAD can end up back at the lows there, but again, in terms of an entry, unless you enter during the Asian session over there or you're already in the position, you kind of need price to push back into resistance again before taking a trade. But so far, resistance is holding pretty well, so that does give me a pretty bearish bias for dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, again, still looking for a bit of a pullback for this one. We've still had a few attempts to try and push lower, but so far support is holding. Doesn't look like price is pushing too far away. We had the drop from last week. This is where we gapped into. Bit of a wick to the downside, price creating support. We pushed up once, came back down, respected it, pushed up twice, came back down, respected it again. Yesterday, or was that this morning? That was this morning actually. Well, the candle that opened up from 10 o'clock, which closed at 2 a.m. this morning. Price respected support again. So it looks like we are starting to run out of steam a little bit. I am expecting Aussie dollar to push to the upside. Again, there's not a lot of support or big levels to work with Aussie dollar at these prices. Looking to the left, COVID lows. We have to go a little bit lower than that. I suppose there's some small areas down the left, but again, nothing too significant to work with. So with Aussie dollar, as we can see, we're creating support. That could be a nice place to put a stop loss underneath and potentially capitalize on a counter trend play. Now this trade will be a bit more of an aggressive play because again, the market is still pretty bearish. We're still seeing a lot of momentum, but I do think it's definitely due a pullback. Whether it's going to happen now or maybe 50 pips lower, difficult to say. But it does look like support is starting to hold. And I do think we can see a push to the upside. If we look to the left, every time price does create a new low, we do tend to correct ourselves pretty quickly afterwards. So create a low there, broke through the low, big push to the upside, create a new low, big push to the upside, created a new low again. I do think we'll probably see price recover that and see a big push to the upside as well. Which is why if you're looking to sell Aussie dollar, I would be patient and wait for price to approach this kind of area first before looking to sell. This is now in bullish territory, or at least not in sellers anymore. I'd wait for a much bigger pullback before looking to try and take any shorts. But at the moment, support looks like it's holding pretty well. I do think we can see some upside. In terms of XAGUSD, I don't think this one, has this one seen new lows? Okay, yeah, it just about did. So again, with XAGUSD as well, we can see the wick low here, trading at support there. You can see what happened last time we were there. Price spiked through, nice recovery, another spike through. I do think probably we'll see a recovery in that as well. Again, more of an aggressive trade. You're trying to fade the momentum from last week, which might seem a little bit scary, but this is kind of the areas where you expect sellers to be taking profit. If people were in some sell positions early in the week. Earlier last week, where would they probably have their targets? Probably at the lows here, or at least, if not at the lows there, probably some initial targets at least. So you probably will get that natural profit taking from sellers, and of course that should give us a bit of relief in price. And of course, this is a pretty strong level of support anyway. If we scale to the higher time frames, look to the left, we are trading at some big areas. As you can see there, massive support there, big move to the upside. And of course, support there too as well, big move to the upside. So we are trading in a really big area. So naturally, profit taking probably will be going happening at the moment. And that should give us a natural bounce to the market. And again, I think this is a decent area, decent place for a stop loss as well. I think USD's got some weakness left in it too, so that should help NZD push up. But I think the main focus here with NZD and Aussie dollar is NZD and Aussie, the currencies themselves, because they've been so bearish, and it hasn't really mattered what USD's been doing, because USD's been overall bearish too, but they've still been falling. So it just goes to show how bearish Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar have been. So yeah, if they can finally gain some strength, I do think they can fly. In terms of gold, we have just about tapped into a very interesting area. Nice consolidation here. Price spent a few days there before breaking to the upside with a lot of momentum. We just about came and tested, not yesterday, the day before. And looks like we're seeing a bit of a bullish reaction. Kind of like a nice double bottom there. Not quite of the area, but looks like we came back into the low. Price respect the early in the morning. Very strong close there. And again, another strong close there to the upside. So it looks like gold is reacting from this area. and perhaps we could potentially see a bullish gold right now. Again, looking at the higher time frames, weekly chart, yeah, everything is still pretty bullish here for gold. We've had a bit of a spike to the downside for this week. Potentially that's price now getting ready to rally. I think if we can get a strong close in the daily chart, that kind of sets the tone there. So I would say if you're looking to trade gold, I'd probably scale to the lower time frames, look for a bit of a correction, perhaps a retest of the high like so. That could provide some nice opportunities for a long. You've got one low there, second low there, and that will be your third high low, looking for the continuation. Looks like we're coming back into some bearish territory at the moment, but yeah, some pullbacks. I do fancy some buys. I'm not too sure if you'll be looking to try and hold it all the way back to the all-time high, especially if you're looking at intraday position, but I do think there's room to the upside for us to maneuver into. In terms of silver, this one also looking semi-bullish, at least bullish on the day. Again, it looks like support on the left is holding. Again, I'm still not too sure about silver, about my longer term play. I know longer term, I'm still expecting silver to gain strength over time. But the way price has moved, it does look very kind of awkward, very kind of corrected move to the upside and a very strong move come crashing back down. Not exactly your typical bullish trend or your bullish pattern there. So that's why I'm being a bit more cautious. I wouldn't say the market is necessarily bearish. We haven't really taken out any major lows. Sure, we did take out some lows here on the daily chart, which of course broke structure along the way to the upside. But as soon as we come back into a big level, price actually respects it. So there's nothing really bearish to me about silver right now. Of course, apart from the momentum there, but there's nothing that tells me that longer term I'm expecting silver to collapse right now. So that's why I'm still kind of semi-bullish, holding that bias, but I don't have a clear setup to trade it, which is why I'm just kind of on the fence right now. As we do push to the upside, we're coming back into resistance here, which is where sellers will be sitting, and that is definitely not a place which I want to be looking to jump into any longs. If anything, there might be some nice shorts here for silver, push into that area if we're nice and corrective. There might be a sell to take from 31 or 32 really. So yeah, silver, I'm still favoring price to get back to highs eventually, but I just need development for a good buy opportunity to form. At the moment, I'm still seeing good sell opportunities as we push higher.